Hey everybody, we're trying something a little bit new today. I hope you like this. I was just checking out the new song from Tool this week, and there's this sound that's in it that I just really liked. It's a guitar through a lot of processing, but there's this, it just has this really great vibe to it, great sound to it, and so I went through and I recreated a version of this sound. So let me play just a little fraction of it. Okay, we can't play too much. Check out the whole song. It's actually pretty awesome. And I went through, here's what I have so far. And actually we're missing one. I think I need to turn on this. For the opening section, it's a lot more muffled. And then after a while, it actually brightens up. Make sure I play the right notes. But let me go through how I kind of got to this sound. And there are probably multiple ways of doing this. This is all built off of synthesis and MIDI effects and audio processing. There's no guitar involved, except for, well, it's not really guitar because Sculpture doesn't use samples at all. This is using a modeled type synthesis process, but it's the Telecaster default. So this is one that I go to for guitar type sounds a lot. Let me turn everything off except for that. And I did change around the body EQ a little bit, and I changed what the actual body type. It's attached to a cello body now, but a lot of everything else is the default. Then I came through, and the first thing I did was add this particular amp designer to this. So let's turn that on. You can hear it gets us a lot of the way there towards a guitar sound with this. But then there's a lot of growth to the sound. It changes over time quite a bit. So I actually went through and started manipulating this. One of the things I did was change where this microphone is placed. So let's see here. No, I did a couple things. That's the second one. Yeah, the microphone position. And these are all the modulator plugs. So the first one was the volume. Let's turn that on. I could have done this with the envelope inside Sculpture, but I like keeping all of these things outside and separate because I have a little bit more control in terms of if I want to trigger them multi or single or just some other things. I like how that works. Then I attached this next one to the actual placement of the mic. So that makes it change over time a little bit, the overall spectrum of it. I like how you can add these nuances to things. So that was just for each of these using the envelope, learning different things. So learning plug-in parameter, and I moved that microphone along the x-axis once. For this other one, I just attached it, didn't learn a parameter, I just attached it to MIDI CC7, which is volume for the instrument. So both of those pretty straightforward with the timings and everything. And then this last one is attached to one of my EQs. So we'll get there in a second. I added a reverb to this, and it's a lot of reverb. There's more wet than dry. So pretty straightforward concert hall. I did roll off a lot of the top part of that reverb so it didn't sound so bright. Then we had this EQ. This is the one that this modulator is attached to with its envelope. You can see how it brightens up as we go. Now this is really offset by when I have this shelf filter pulling it all down. So when these are on, you're not going to hear as much the first EQ until you turn off the shelf filter, and then you hear it a lot more. So let's turn off that shelf for a second. It brightens up as it goes. Now that microphone movement actually does change the pitch just slightly, so you get a little bit of interplay there that you might not get in the actual record. But I do like that you are getting some of the interplay between the notes there. So the first section, and one thing I was messing with too, let's close all that. So that's the essential basic part of the sound. I think we get really close or in the same essence as the one on the record. It's definitely, there are some key differences, but I think we're pretty close. The one thing that I really was starting to mess with here was the tuning and moving this into one of the Hermode tuning types. This changes the interplay of the harmonies. So with classic, it's turned on when I click that, so get a little smoother sound from it. Pop jazz one does pretty well too. But I think I was getting probably the best with the classic mode. So that really tightens down the tuning a little bit, and you end up with something that is a little bit smoother, and the harmonics aren't fighting quite as much with that amp designer. Okay, so we had 3 modulators: Sculpture, Amp Designer, Chromaverb, Channel EQ, and another Channel EQ. These ones, I didn't actually talk about those 2 peaks that I'm pulling down. Those were just sounds that were ringing out with the whole setup that I didn't like, so I was just pulling them down. What they sound like. They were just part of either the amp designer or the way Chromaverb was acting. Could have been any of those, but I just wanted to get rid of those, and so I pulled them down individually in an additional EQ. Okay, so hope you enjoyed this. If you're interested in getting this channel strip, let me know. I can definitely upload it someplace, but let me know. Otherwise, check out that song. It's pretty awesome. I think that you'll enjoy it. It has a lot of great sounds in there. And this is just one way of creating it using the stock Logic plugins.